Let's go
Well,
ahead and get
let's
started,
get
Daryl.
started. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone for our grateful say for the commercial multifamily mastermind. I would like to welcome you to the capital raising strategy session. Today we have a special guest. I'm sure everyone have seen him. He's at the events. He's promoting on Facebook. He's doing a lot. And I'm going to read just a little bit about him. He's based in Austin, Texas. Um, Trevor Thompson is a dedicated real estate investor, passionate about helping others achieve financial independence through real estate investing. With investments in 31 syndications, both as a limited partner and a general partner slash sponsor, his experience spans a variety of properties and projects. Trevor is especially excited about his role as VP of Investor Engagement at Massive Capital, where he focuses on building a community for investors through education and support. His extensive portfolio showcases his commitment to real estate and his goal to empower 1,000 people towards financial independence. Let's all give a great round of applause and welcome Mr. K. Trevor Thompson. Hello, Trevor. How you doing?
It's good to be here. It's an interesting thing because I was just at an event and they talked about imposter syndrome. And when you're reading my bio, I kind of feel that funny feeling. Even though it's like obviously there's a lot on there, it's really amazing how many of us suffer from imposter syndrome. It absolutely is. My first piece of advice is to not to go out there, do great things, take credit for what you've done. So because it's funny, I haven't heard that read in a while, so it just made me think that. So
Well, I only read a tiny, tiny piece, but take the time to fill in the blanks and help us to get to know Kate Trevor Thompson some more.
yeah, so I'll start my story is kind of short but fascinating and unusual. As Jim calls me the most interesting man in the world, and yes, I made a video stating that I am. So I'll share a link so anybody can vote to see if I am. So I'm originally from Niagara Falls, Canada. Started working for Ripley's, believe it or not, at age 13. Worked there all through high school. Then I did 18 years with Guinness World of Records, which opened at one in the Empire State Building in New York, worked on one in Los Angeles, tried to open my own Guinness in Orlando, Florida. That deal didn't happen, so opened up a year-round haunted house. Then I got recruited by iFly Indoor Skydiving, where I opened 46 of 80 worldwide locations. I was always interested in real estate, but I was afraid of toilets, tenants, and trash. And so it was really quite amazing. I even got the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, switched my paradigm, but I still wasn't ready to go to the next level. I thought, how can I do that? How can I do that? And then I went to a couple of weekend webinars and stumbled across this thing called syndication and mostly on multifamily. And I went, where have you been my whole life? This is exactly what I was looking for. And as Daryl said, I started passive investing quickly and now switched on to the active side. So I'm going to be 65 this year. So that's a lot of years. I was actually back up in Niagara Falls and realized a while ago it was my 50th anniversary of getting a job there. It was pretty interesting. That was about 2 years ago.
Wow, wow. What was it like on your very, very first raise? What was it like?
Oh, I'll tell you, my very first raise was so scary. First of all, I wasn't ready. I had no systems, I had no nothing, and I literally cut and pasted 380 emails. I kept just hitting the reply to them on the conversations if they didn't answer me. So I had a Word document, I had an Excel document. I wasn't smart enough to put the two together. and literally spent the entire weekend cutting and pasting, cutting and pasting. It was eye-opening that clearly there had to be a better way for sure.
Trevor, that sounds like the same thing I did when I on my first capital raise. I copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. I had over 300 people I had to send messages to. Trevor, that was the same exact thing. But wait a minute, I gotta ask this one question right here. It didn't. I gotta ask this question. How much did you raise on your first capital raise?
So my first capital raise was 375,000.
That's about the same thing I did on my first
And
capital raise.
even more crazy of a story, that deal ended up not happening.
Hmm.
So it was my first deal. I joined another team. So anybody who tells you that, you just find a deal, the money rolls in and the deal happens, they're not telling you the real truth. And we were doing a loan assumption, but because it was a very low LTV, we needed third party pref, which we had, but we could
Hmm.
never get the lender to approve it. So 6 months, $350,000 down the drain, of which 75 was mine. We had to return all the investor money the day it became officially undone. Very, very not a good way to start, but learned a lot of lessons. So
Wow. Wow. That's wow. That is like that sounds just like what we went through. Jim, go ahead and take over, Jim. I know you got a lot of questions. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I could sit and ask Trevor 100 questions. I never tire of talking to him. I find out something new every single time. That's why I labeled him a couple of years ago the most interesting man in the world. Definitely the most interesting man in commercial real estate. And Trevor gave you a little bit of that background, having worked for some fascinating companies. And I know the last time I had Trevor on one of our webinars or podcast. He told a story about meeting Michael Jackson, and so I won't relive that one. But we had Daryl playing elevator music at the opening for folks that got in a little bit early, and Trevor asked if we didn't have any heavy metal, and so I wanted to ask you, Trevor, have you ever met anybody? In the heavy metal or headbanger or some rock and roll history.
yeah, so interestingly enough, when I was a young man at Ripley's, I met Motley Crue. I had no idea who they were, and that I would soon be a big fan of theirs. They were not famous at the time. They were playing at some little club in town, and they actually had a day off, and they went through my Ripley's, believe it or not. I thought, who are these guys that looked like girls? I'm not gonna lie. And then a bunch of groupie girls came looking for them and then they told me, don't tell anybody we're here. And I don't even know who you are. So that was kind of interesting. And then, in my time when I was out in Los Angeles, I managed to meet Gene Simmons. And he was not actually a nice man. Sad.
Well, at least he puts on a nice concert.
He does. He does.
I think you were at their last one, weren't you?
I did. I was. I definitely was. Yes.
Yeah. Um, at our age, Trevor, it amazes me that these guys are still going. I'm constantly amazed every day. But
Yeah, yeah, it
um,
really is. I'm going to see Alice Cooper again for the 10th time, and he's just turned 80.
yeah. And Alice, some of these guys don't show their age. Alice definitely shows his age.
He does. He's a little wrinkly.
But still a great entertainer.
Yeah.
So
I posted the video there, the most interesting man too. So, and then on the capital raise. So after that, I got into another deal. I just want to make sure people understand that getting there is hard work. So second deal, that was right when interest rates started going up. And this deal ended up getting retraded twice by the lender to where they only had an 18-month bridge loan. Thank goodness the sponsor was smart enough to say, hey, this is a recipe for disaster because of what continued to happen. And so on that deal, I managed to raise $250,000 from the people from my first deal. And then I had to turn around and give them their money back. And then I finally got on a third deal that happened, and 250 came on that, 180 came on that third deal. So I went from, raising 300, I got 250 to move along, and then 180 to finally stay with me after two failures in a row to deploy their money.
Well, those folks that were with you on the original one, and every one of them that followed, were very lucky that they had you on their side, because there's a lot of folks out there that invested in deals and jumped in with both feet and lost everything. So,
Yeah.
you guys were smart enough to know when to say no and get out and cry uncle. So, Trevor, you've been investing for a while as an LP, and now I'm going to say what, a couple of years, as an active GP and raising capital. But you had a journey with some bad deals also, that you stepped in as an LP and kind of saved the deal, even though it wasn't your job. You were an LP on the deal, but you helped those guys tremendously. And I think that some of that experience is what propelled you to where you are. But when you and I met, when I started the GOB network, you were one of the very early people to join the group with us, and were very active in helping us, get the word out. And I really did not see then where you are today. You've had such a tremendous journey. I thought, okay, Trevor and I about the same age, very similar experience. Trevor's just going to be an LP in a bunch of these deals, and you've just been on fire, especially the last 12 to 18 months. Can you tell us how that journey happened, and how you got to where you are, and what were some of the difficulties in getting there? Because quite honestly, we preach to everyone, this is how to do it. And most people do not succeed at it, but you have succeeded massively. And I use the word intentionally. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so it was super tough. I'm not going to lie. I was trying to buy real estate, as many of you were, when the market was really, really, really hot and crazy. So again, two deals that didn't happen. A third one, I managed to join somebody else's deal. And then, I never was a good underwriter. So I had to always have a person who I paid or who was part of my deal to do the underwriting. And it was super frustrating. Here I was forking out at some point, $100 to $150 a deal to have somebody underwrite it to make an offer to be nowhere close. And again, I was buying during the heyday, right? And I kept losing, and I kept losing, and I kept thinking, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And hindsight is I was doing nothing wrong, because all of those deals are somewhat in trouble now. They overpaid, they did bridge loans. There were a lot of things that happened. I always talk about one deal that, so we kept making offers, and we made 6 offers in a row, and we were like third. And I said, we've just got to be first one day. So we thought this property had a lot of potential. So this one in our mind was the one to risk it. So whisper price was 9.5 million. So we went in and offered 10 million, 1% hard day one, 1% hard in 15 days. Okay, so that's like 200 grand at risk in 15 days. I mean, hard, no backing out of the first 100. And we were told we're not even close. And then we went to 10,250, not even close. 10-3, not even close. 10-4, give up. And somebody paid 11 million. It was just, now that deal, it did turn out to be a good deal, and the people that bought it are doing well. So at least there was some I was happy to see them do well because I hate to see anybody not do well. But there were other deals that we didn't get that are now in trouble, and it was because somebody paid more than we paid.
So you had the struggles of putting in a lot of offers, and we just come out of a decade where everyone was just
Yeah.
making crazy offers. But you were doing this as part of one team. You had joined a few different teams. Help us out with that journey and where you started. A couple of
Yeah,
years
so
ago to where
so
you
it was
are now.
definitely a couple of teams. So our good friend Gary Love was on one of those teams, and another friend of mine, local here in Austin, Joel Fine. And I know there was a couple of times you were on a couple of those deals, or at least going to be. And it was just so there was always a couple of people on the deals, right? And someone would say, "Well, I don't want to be here or there," but it was kind of a small core group of people that were doing it. And, I probably had like three different core groups that like different markets and different deals. But again, it was just such a struggle to get there, such a struggle to get there. And then but I didn't give up. And the deals that I finally did get on, so there were some folks that I just kept like they had a deal and is there room for me on the deal? No, not really. Okay. It had a deal. Is there room for me on the deal? Not really. And then one day the lady called me, friend of mine, I'm a partner now in two deals with her, said, I think I got one. And it was really quite hilarious how it all happened. I think I have one. And I'm like, I've looked at every property in San Antonio. I don't remember this one. And I was actually at a meetup in Houston because I went to every meetup. I mean, I would drive to Houston, Dallas, San Antonio every month to meet people. And it was a guy named Devin Elder from Apartment Educators was speaking, and it was a property he owned before the last owner. And I remember we came off stage. I'm like, hey, Devin, I got this opportunity. He's like, man, awesome project. Answered a few clarifying questions, was super helpful at different times. And then we managed to get it done. But it was a challenge. And on that particular one, I managed to raise 566,800. I have my chart up here just to make sure I give you right numbers. So that was like, okay, I was the first time that I made a commitment to the team to raise $500,000. It was super challenging because I hadn't got there yet.
And that last one that you joined, the person that called you and said, "Hey, I might have one," and you didn't recognize, was that Massive Capital?
No, it was not. So it was another group, a local group. Her name is Lindsay Haynes. She's a local property manager. She did a few deals before that. So she property manages about $2,500 and is a GP on 800 now. And I actually last year did a second deal with her in Round Rock in the same team. We just changed one team member out on the second deal. But then, of course, joining Massive Capital is where I'm going to say the steroids kind of started, at least on the deal flow side.
And how did you meet that team?
So this is an interesting story. My very first passive investment was with one of the partners of Massive Capital. And in fact, interestingly enough, he was one of the general partners, and he actually walked away because of a personal situation. And that's what provided me an opportunity to be the asset manager. He was in a position with a family medical situation that he just could not continue. And so that's when I stepped in. So he was always helpful with me, but we stayed friends. And then once he got back, he still played in the single family space because he said, I'm not risking anybody's money but my own. And he just didn't feel with the complications in his life, he could do it. So I had made a passive investment with him too. And then I have known Mike Bailey, who is also part of Massive Capital. He's part of another real estate mentoring group I'm with for about 3 years. And then Sanjay and I were making an offer on a property in San Antonio that was way above our grade. And he said, well, I met this crazy guy named Shirar. You want to talk to him and see if he'll come in on the deal? And literally, I timed it. 12 minutes, we hammered out a deal. We didn't win, But it was amazing. You could just tell he knew what he wanted to do. He didn't want to waste any time getting there. And oddly enough, for the smaller guy in the totem pole, it was a better deal than I thought I would get. And I actually called them back to clarify, like, hey, hold on a minute. And you know what was interesting? His first question was to me, have you ever lost money? And of course I had. I just lost the $75,000 on the San Antonio deal. And he said, good. And I said, why is that good? He says, I want you to know what it's like because I don't ever want you to do it again. And, you know, especially with somebody else's money.
Yeah, that's it's always a bitter pill, but those are the lessons that will stick with you a little bit stronger, make a little bit more of an impression. So many people that want to do this that don't have really necessarily their own risk, if you will, and that makes it a lot easier for them to make some decisions that you might not make if you
Yeah.
were losing, hard-earned money, and that money's not acquisition fee money that's coming to you at closing, but you're actually losing money that's already coming out of your bank account. So
And I want to talk about something too at this juncture because the first few deals I did with Lindsay and now with Massive Capital, there's one thing I really want to make sure that everybody knows because not a lot of people talk about this. They talk about teams and they talk about everything, right? But you need powerful people that are good in their lane. Okay, so one of our partners was a property manager. She's good at her lane. She understands that. She's in that space. She knows what's the realistic and the different things to do. The other partner is a financial whiz bang. Like his underwriting, his understanding of the things is good. And then there's myself, who's I don't still even think of myself as a great capital raiser, but I'm good at it. I'm a people person. I'm well connected, and had a lot to do with that. And so it's super important, and that's even become kind of the superpower with Massive is they have this big team. They have financial analysts, they have underwriters, they have all types of things, and that's how once you get in there, it's because it's super frustrating at the beginning trying to do everything.
yeah, I think it
And that's
is
what
if
the
you can find
GOB does as well. That's part of why I gravitated. Obviously I gravitated because I liked your mission, the Go Giver mission. And by the way, everybody in this call, if you're still not paying your patronage, I'm going to bring it up. Make sure you sign up and pay your patronage, okay? Because this is an organization. Even though I'm not that active, it's an organization that needs our support. So I know you didn't ask me to say that, but it's super important that you create these kind of environments.
Well, thank you for that, Trevor. I really appreciate it. And I know that a lot of the folks that you've partnered up with, there's a lot of fellow GOB members and folks that have contributed to the community and are part of the community. And we always appreciate that very much. And always appreciate the fact that you guys sometimes, the contribution is just saying, yeah, that's a good group. And you guys should go over there and check it out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to give back. And that's the most important thing for us is to have a community of people that want to help each other out, and want to collaborate, and want to give back, and
Yeah.
want to see other people succeed, and not have unnecessary barriers in front of them, because there's going to be so many barriers that are going to happen that we cannot make disappear.
Yeah.
This is not an easy game. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have a lot of hurdles to overcome, and the more
Yeah.
people you have to lean on and reach out to, and it's going to help you. And it's a community that, if you are really serious about raising capital, that I think will aid you tremendously.
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah,
to
and
know
and I
as
post
many
a lot
others.
on social media that your network is your net worth, and I believe it wholeheartedly. Like, my network is super important to me. And the GOB is super important to me.
And you're a great example of how to get known, and to get known quickly. You mentioned you started with no systems, but what you did do was every meetup that you could get to in person, you went to.
Yeah.
Every single one. And you were no wallflower when you got there. You know, you shook hands, you let people know who you were, and tried to make, you know, real connections with people. But in my mind, probably even more important is the people didn't forget about you because you started to become really active on social media, making sure that your face and your name was out there all the time. And even you know, that helps so much when folks that you meet at a conference and they're like, man, I can't remember who that was, and they see your face 3 or 4 times a week. It's like, oh yeah, that was Trevor. I met Trevor at the Raise Fest in Phoenix last week. And
Yeah.
so I think that's super important. But can you talk a little bit more about what systems you're using and how they've helped you?
Yeah, so I want to go back to just on that point, right? You know, I was obviously kind of very active for a while. Then I read Grant Cardone, or I think, and he talked about omnipresent. And he said, in today's media world, if you're not omnipresent, it's your fault. If people don't know who you are, it's your fault, right? So I went like super, and I still am, right? I still post a ton, I still comment a ton. And I remember the first time I went to, it was my first out of state conference. I went to Jake and Gino in Florida, and I got on the elevator, no name tag, no nothing. Some young man recognized me and wanted a selfie, and I thought, man, I made it. You know, and of course I didn't really make it yet, but just that idea of it and the connection of it. But you got to put yourself out there. So on the systems, I was using Active Campaign. Now we're using Go High Level. I'm still personally not using Go High Level for my social media posts. I'm still doing it the brute force way. I do have a VA that makes me look good. She's good at it. And I try super hard to be clever and creative. I really work hard at making lots of funny faces, crying babies, lots of different things. If you got my email last week, somebody sent me a thing, we need to catch up, and they wrote it as ketchup. Well, man, that's just like, and my face was on a ketchup bottle. I just couldn't resist it. I had to do it. And so a lot of it out there, but one of the things I really want to talk about, it's one thing to just spew information out there. That has moderate effect. You need to make real, genuine connections with people. I cannot say that enough. It's one thing just to post a lot of stuff, but never support anybody else. Never comment on anybody else's post. Never talk about somebody else. Never do anything. This is a place where you can make, first of all, you can make genuine connections with people versus superficial connections with people. You can bring real value to the marketplace with what you post, whether it's motivational, it's educational, or whatever. And you can bring real value by commenting on other people's. You know, it was interesting. I reached this point where I got somewhat famous and I started getting tagged by people I didn't even know. At first it annoyed me, and then I thought, you know, plagiarism is a compliment. Just let them tag me and try to grab my network. Don't do that. Try to make genuine connections with people. Try to add real value. When you see somebody in your network doing something, reach out and make a real serious effort to make a good, impactful comment. And
Yeah,
does that take a lot of time? It does.
Yeah.
I don't sleep well, so most of my comments happen at 4 to 5 p.m. in the morning. I send people texts at 5 in the morning and I forget what time it is. I'm like, oh shoot. And you know, and I do it at night while I'm watching TV, and I do it during the day. But don't just, if you think about more what I can give than get, you will always get more than you give.
So I know for a while that was in your early days of social media, that was your superpower. It was
Yeah.
you commented on everyone's post, and everyone got to know you even before they started seeing all of your posts.
Yeah.
And so I think that's great advice. But I will go back and say you can be of value to someone just by, don't read someone's post and just read it and walk away. Do something, hit the like button. And if you have a valuable comment, make a valuable comment. But folks, you can help them by putting in a single word, even if it's not a great comment. It will boost their profile, it will boost their post, and you're doing them a service. So obviously, if you have something insightful to say and a great comment to make, that's fantastic. But
Yeah.
I follow the hashtag GOB network and a few other hashtags, and I see so many posts that have 1 like, 2 likes, and I see posts that have 5 likes and 10 likes and no comments. And it is amazing how much effort people are putting into this and getting no traction from it. I mean, I know people are seeing it, but there's no engagement.
Yeah.
And
On that too, by the way, LinkedIn, you have to have 8 words to get counted in the algorithm. So a little cheat tip there.
that is a great cheat code. I did not
Yeah,
know.
you have to have 8 words because they got wise to little bots and little likes and little quick off the cuff comments. And I'll tell you what, 8 words is hard work.
Well,
I fail probably 2/3 of the time to get 8 full meaningful words. So something is of course better than nothing. But to get really high up in the algorithm, and LinkedIn likes reshares more than Facebook does too, by the way.
yeah, I know that last year there was a big thing about resharing on Facebook wasn't helping you, and I'm always going to default. If resharing is a great way for you to create content when you don't
Yeah.
feel very creative and you don't feel like you have anything to say, it's a great way, whether or not their logarithm sees it or not. And if you want to increase your likes and stuff like that, call out a few people that post their name in the comments and see if you can get some reaction that way. But it does take work. It's not, I know there's a lot of software out there nowadays, but if you do want to create genuine connections, it is a lot of hard work, but it is worthwhile. I mean, look at how much money Trevor's raised on a few deals, and it's proof that it's worthwhile, that it works. And if you can't think of 8 great words, pick 8 random words. Copy and paste 8 words. Hey Trevor, I always love your post, and I always follow you at hashtag GOB Network and hashtag Massive Capital, and I know that Alicia likes it too. And copy and paste that into every single message that Trevor has. And do the same thing. If a lot of times I just don't want to take the time to slow down to try to think of something witty, cute, insightful. And and if I have something I can copy and paste and I know that it's helping Trevor's posts, and I'm going to do that. And that's I would encourage everyone to do that.
And taking people's polls helps them as well. A lot of people post polls and it's pretty easy just to click your thought.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I'm always nervous. Am I clicking the right one? And then when I click it and lots of people have, I think, is that good or bad?
So you guys are using Go High Level. I know you're very active posting on all social media platforms. Are there any other systems that you're using, that you use regularly? You say you're still doing some brute force. You'd mentioned your VA. Do you have one VA?
I have one VA and Massive Capital has 3.
And what has your VA been the biggest help for you as far as things that you've done in your business, or would you say something else has?
So definitely the VA has made me look good. She's super talented. Like again, I went to Race Fest, I snap a bunch of pictures and then I send to her and I say, just make a little reel of me at Race Fest. And she makes a really good reel. What I missed doing, and it was partly because I wasn't feeling all that great, I should have tagged everybody that was in the reel and I didn't. So I missed that opportunity. But it's super important. So a VA, she posts on Instagram because I'm an old man and don't understand it. I don't know how to get the clickable links in it. Every once in a while I'll post something in it. So I have not figured that out. And then she started scrubbing podcast interviews for short clips. And short clips are super powerful because I'm not all that exciting to listen to for 45 minutes, but I'm pretty exciting to listen to for 45 seconds maybe or whatever. So having a VA that can scrub your stuff and repost it in different places is super powerful. I would say one of my best performing was an interview with Vinny Chopra, and she just, cut it up. And he's so personable, and that, it was just, and of course he's famous, so I tagged him every time I did it. And those little short clips definitely built my power. The next thing I'd like to conquer is a stronger YouTube channel. I plod along and get a few followers, but I really want to. That's my one thing that bothers me, that I'm not there yet.
Yeah, it is not easy to build all these things. And I always admire everyone that does it. For me, all of it feels like pushing a boulder uphill.
Yeah,
But you've got to keep trying. So did you have more than one VA, or did you get lucky and find the right one on the very first try?
I got lucky. I got lucky, and I love her, and I'd love to steal her from the third party that I pay, because I know I pay double, but it's just kind of like morally, I don't think I can, and yeah, so I got lucky.
That was going to be my next question. How did you find her? And you found her with a third party VA
Yes,
platform.
yeah.
Which one is that?
Oh, it's a good question. No, I can't remember. I'm sorry. If I remember, I'll
No
post
problem.
it. Yeah.
Is it one of the Philippine
Yeah, so they're a local group. I should know his name. He's a partner with Angel on the properties in Wichita Falls, Texas, and he has a VA company as well. And I met him at RE Mentor. He's an RE Mentor student, and I met him there, and I used his VA service, and again got super lucky.
Fantastic. So I'm guessing that's costing you $8 to $10 an hour, or $8 to $12 an
Yeah, it's
hour,
1,600 a month.
1,600 a month, and the best 1,600 that you've spent so far, I would imagine.
It has been very good. And it could be better if I was better at delegation.
Fantastic. So are there other things that you are using? What mail system to use? Are you using any texting programs?
Yeah,
Any?
so we're doing all of that through Go High Level.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
And
Massive Capital's actually kind of created within their thing. And it does all the funnels, it does everything. So they've created that, and they're actually now people can buy in and get a fully kind of built for them system.
fantastic. So anything else on systems that you want to talk about, Trevor, or
I think just again the value of making genuine connections and offering, really true, like just a mixture of so on Facebook I talk more personal than I do LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Just so people know, right? LinkedIn is a little more busy. LinkedIn doesn't necessarily like 3 to 4 posts a day, any more than 2. They don't like it. LinkedIn doesn't like videos as much as Facebook does. Instagram, of course, loves little videos. That's all it wants. One of these days I want to figure it out, but I think maybe my age to figure it out is gone, and just I need to trust that she can do a better job than I am.
Yeah, I think hiring young people is the answer. So for all of us over 50, hire someone that's younger than you and let them figure it out for you. The other thing that I want to ask you about, Trevor, is in the deals that you're working on currently, what are you guys finding the environment to be? And any feedback on how many deals you guys are looking at? And I think you guys are focused just in Texas, if I remember.
No. So we have properties, Denver, North Carolina, and Georgia, but
Okay.
mostly Texas focused. We do mostly value add multifamily, but we have a land entitlement. We're doing a new build retail, and we raised money on a high-end industrial workspace called X Space in Houston, which, by the way, was my biggest raise to date. And it was interesting. It kind of taught me a lesson. So it is a very high-end industrial kind of work. Like, so we're selling unfinished space for $500 a square foot, if you can imagine. And people are turning it into he and she caves. Okay, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars with golf simulators, pool tables. There's a guy here in Austin who's an exotic car collector, and he has his cars in a bar and a meeting room, and he brings all his IT executives, and there's actually 6 drivable Porsches inside of his office that they go take for rides. The has a lift so you can park your Ferrari inside your office if you want. It's very, very unique. But the one thing it taught me was if people get it, they get it. So my very first investor, I literally did my first webinar and I thought, man, this is out there. This is going to be tough. And somebody that I knew, but we'd never talked, interestingly enough, sent 2 questions on an email. I answered those questions, says, here's a link to book a call with me. Let's talk. Next day, 2 questions. I answered the 2 questions. Here's a link to book a call with me. The next day, where do I sign up? That was his question. And I'm looking at it, it was 100,000 minimum. And I'm thinking, okay, that was pretty easy. 300,000, boom. I was like, that was the first time anybody invested more than 100 on for me. And I was just like, wow, I wish it could be that easy. I'm here to tell you it's not that easy. If you can get up to those levels, you can get those folks that understand and have a high net worth. But I'm going to tell you, scrape and claw for everybody right now, trying to make them feel comfortable, trying to get them to jump over the edge and make the investment. I can't imagine how fun it's going to be when it gets easy again.
So Trevor, talk to us about the so many people will join different coaching programs and participate in different programs, and there's a lot of talk about everyone doing it themselves and being a GP versus trying to raise capital. And you might be talking to investors every day, and you have 3 or 4 or 5 of them that say, yeah, I'd be interested in investing with you, but you're struggling to find a deal and you don't find a deal, or you find a deal and it goes bad. Do you have any insight into what it looks like being a GP versus being an LP versus being part of a bigger team and letting someone else do a lot of that heavy lifting?
Yeah, so a team is vital, right? A team is vital. A good deal is vital. To be able to say, I've got a good deal. It is a good deal. We've got the people backed up to be able to take care of everything. That's super powerful. The one thing we don't have is full cycle deals. So that is still a selling point that people want to know, do you have a deal that's gone full cycle and how has it gone? And what they don't really realize is the last 3 years is no representation of a real full cycle deal, right? It was artificially inflated by low interest rates and compressed cap rates.
So are you guys, I'm sure you're raising every day, Trevor, but do you guys
Yes.
have an active deal right now? And are all your deals C's, or are you still doing both B's and C's?
Yeah, so we do have an active deal right now. It is a 506C. It's 204 doors in San Antonio. We closed, but we didn't complete the raise. So unfortunately, again, I'm sure you guys see it a lot with backfilling. That's what happens a lot. And, a lot of questions about, well, how can you close and what do you do? So you need to make sure you have your facts right, that, we were able to close. We actually got a hard money to close. I know you've been there, Jim, a couple of times, and it's not a fun place to be. But you need to resell it that we were determined to get this deal done. And we believe it enough that we did that. So that's a very important thing to do. We have found switching from a B to a C to be super powerful, and we've done it over and over again. There's lots of confusion in the marketplace. Some attorneys will tell you different things than our attorneys telling us. So we start out every deal as a 506B. We set a change date right at the beginning. So today's the date. Let's say March 15th is the change date. You must be in and done and signed. We actually can't flip the day of because it's a little more complicated. So you have to have all of the Bs done. You have to shut everything down. You upload a brand new PPM. You upload a brand new slide deck that goes with the C. So you do all of those things that can make sure you have the system. There are two things that this has done really well for us. Number one, it allows people to get their friends and family in a deal, right? So a lot of our capital raisers, we have a mentoring program now too, like everybody else does. They're new. Their database is not full of accredited investors unless they've come from a very high-tech, well-paying job where their network would be full of accredited investors. So it gives them a chance to be able to raise with their friends and family. It gives us the true deadline, the sense of urgency, because when it switches from B to C, it switches. You're out. If you miss it, you're out. So it was very powerful. And we did it at first out of panic. I'm not going to lie. We couldn't close the deal. Said, man, we need to get to marketing because our first few deals had been C's. And boom, $1 million the week we made the decision, just because, we created that sense of urgency. Then we switch it to a C, which again allows all of our students and all of ourselves to be able to market it on the internet. We have 10,000 people on our database, about 4,500 are Bs, 6,500 are where we don't have the established documented relationship with, which again, a CRM system is vital for that with the dates and the conversations and all of those things, right? You want to dot your I's and cross your T's. You don't want to have a slip through the cracks. And then we switch it to a C. And of course, then we can help them with all of their marketing materials and their looks and, post it on Facebook. My VA actually helps because I make my own and then I just do it with all of their images and logos for them. That's something I'm still paying personally for the VA, but I bring that to the team because I get some other things backwards. And then, of course, you get to talk about when you closed. So it kind of gives everybody all the elements. And then deal flow and deal variety have been blessings and curses. Okay, so I was raising for 4 deals at a time one time. And then 2 of them, I said, okay, I'm not even focusing on these 2. I'm focusing on these 2 for myself personally. Other team members said, okay, I will focus on these and let Trevor focus on that. We set up a lead for every deal. We have a call every week where we go through objections and try to coach people to get to the finish line. So there's a lot of things we try to do to support people. And then on the backside, and again, I don't want this to be too much of a sales message of Massive, but on the backside, we've created, so if you come join, you get on a deal, you see everything. You see it from the day it first gets the back of the napkin underwriting. You go through all of the contract to close. You go through all of the due diligence. You go through all of the closing, all of the capital raising. Then you can go to every property management call, every asset management call. You can intercept and send through yourselves our investor update, give your investors the update. You can attend all. So we provide all of the back end, and then we have a WhatsApp channel. That's our mechanism. And tasks are put up on a monday.com or a WhatsApp channel to keep the activity level for these and people to go. And so we provide that all of those next steps, which of course are leading them to better education. And that all goes back to the power of team, right? Because at every level, there's somebody who, and again, our partners have done, I'm 31 deals. There's a couple other partners that are in the 30s as well. So between us all, we've got, hundreds of years of experience and, probably close to 150 different deals.
That's
And
fantastic.
then the
I love
variety of the assets. So it's not all multifamily, land entitlement, retail, new build. We're going to do more retail, new build. It's just an asset class. We have a sister company we're merging with. And that's happening purely because the world has changed. They used to be able to borrow all the money to build it. Now they can't. So we're using investor capital, high interest construction loans, but fast in and out.
I love that. I love the way you guys have built the company, Trevor. It's exactly the way that we have been preaching from day one, the way syndications should be, the way companies should be, and the way they treat their investors. And I can't say enough how proud I am of you guys and the way you guys are doing it. So,
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing too, because I call it how you make the sausage. I mean, if you're a vegan, sorry. But you know, we everything, the good, bad, and the ugly. One of our partners was in Dallas and walked the property and saw some things, and the whole team sees it, not just the leaders.
yeah.
The whole team sees it, because that's how you learn, right? That's how you learn. That you know, if you only see the good stuff, you don't learn.
Yeah.
Love it. So,
Yeah.
well, we're going to start to wrap up here. We're getting close to the top of the hour. So, Trevor, what's the best way for
Yeah,
them
so
to
I
reach
put
out?
my thing in here, and that's a link tree. So you can book a Zoom call with me. You can find my Facebook, my Instagram,
All
my
right.
YouTube.
If you could open that link tree real quick and just pull out the YouTube URL.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask everyone that is on this call to please go to this URL, and let's instantly give Trevor a big old bump in his on his YouTube channel by subscribing. And everyone that's seeing this later on the internet, or if you're watching us live now on the internet, please go to Trevor's YouTube channel. Trevor, for the folks that are going to be watching or not going to see the chat here,
Okay.
if they go to YouTube and just put in K. Trevor Thompson, is that
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
okay? All right. So yeah, if you could, K. Trevor Thompson on YouTube, and subscribe to his channel, and Trevor will be putting out, I'm sure, just tons of valuable information for everyone. So, Daryl, I'll turn it back to you. Let's make sure that everybody, we appreciate you being here. Bring a friend next week. Go on our LinkedIn, our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you happen to see us. Give us a like and a comment, and share with some of your friends, and let us know what you think of what we're doing. Let us know of who you'd like to see us bring on as a guest, and we'll get to work for you. Daryl?
All right.
It must be
So
important too, because Sonia has her camera on. Thank you. She's a big supporter.
I love you, Trevor. You know that.
So, Trevor, I'm just checking to see if there was any questions in the chat, but I do have a question.
Yeah.
Out of all, you've been sending out a lot of educational material, emails, texts, and everything. But what do you find to be the most effective when wanting to and needing to communicate with an investor? Phone, text, email. What do you find to be the most effective?
Most effective is if I can get them to book a call with me on Zoom. I'm super approachable in person. I think I like conversations. You know, even in all my videos, it's hard for me to be warm and cuddly like I am. Dr. Hutchin called me the big bowl of love. I like it. I had a logo on a T-shirt made for that. But so for me to get somebody to book a call is my magic, and that's not easy to do. But I do, I probably do six calls a day that are on Zoom, and I probably make 30 phone calls trying to get somebody to book a call with me a day.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So does anyone have, we got a few minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Take yourself off mute and ask a question.
Yeah, I have a question. So Trevor, what would you tell seniors as in people that you come into contact with over 70 who believe that they don't have enough time to invest?
So I always, well, first of all, we're lucky that we have a couple of shorter term deals. that they can do. So it is better when you have some 2 and 3. I had a guy who was 72 and he said, I don't think I'll live 5 years to see my money. And I said, oh, I think you will, but it's super hard. You just want them to be able to, where else are you going to double your money in 5 years? And I'm sure you want to leave as much money as possible in your estate, right? So if you just let it sit in the bank, your $100,000 is going to be less than $100,000 in 3 years or 5 years because inflation's going to eat at it. So at least have it work, and that when your estate's set up, when the deal goes full cycle, the funds will go to your estate.
Awesome, awesome. And then what is the most interesting asset that you've either invested in as a GP or an LP or both?
So I love multifamily. And the reason I love multifamily is, first of all, everybody needs a place to live. The type of assets that we normally buy, we're making them a better place to live. We're doing things to improve. I was on a call earlier, and one of the properties, I'm an asset manager. We did, last year we did back to school backpacks for 12 kids. So it's 75 units. And I got to tell you, I watched, it just warms my heart to no end to be able to give hardworking working class people a nice backpack full of brand new supplies to go to school. So that warms my heart a lot just to be able to do that. But let's talk a little bit about, you got to make sure that, especially when you start investing in a lot of deals, you're going to need some variety on location and asset class. So I do have value add multifamily. I have one they bought from a developer that's an A class, A plus class. I have a new build A class. I also have storage with my good friend Vinky down at the bottom. But let me back up for people investing. So first of all, who you give your money to is the most important. And then what you put your money in is the second most important. And then where is that? So you want a little bit of diversity. So think about your investment cycle as you're playing a baseball game. You got to remember, like, batting average of 500 is a good one, right? So you're going to want to hit a couple of singles, a couple of doubles, and then go for a couple of home runs. And that's how you're going to win the game of investing, right? Don't just go up to bat thinking I got to hit a home run every time. So you want to look for some risk-adjusted awards. And again, the timeline, right? So some development deals are 2 or 3 years, where other deals are, 3 to 7.
Awesome, wonderful. Thank you. And I didn't
All
want to
right.
hog all the time, so in case someone else has questions.
Well, I just want to say, Trevor, thank you for coming and giving us the enlightenment. I always say, some people, you get gold nuggets from the information, but the information that Trevor gave us, he gave us some platinum nuggets, right? Because that's better than gold. So he gave us platinum nuggets. And I want to thank you for your time, for being here with the capital raise strategy session. And everyone, I just want to say, please give a round of applause to Mr. K. Trevor Thompson for being here and sharing his journey with us. Thank you very much, Trevor. Thank you.
And in closing, it's very important that you are not asking people to invest. You're giving them an opportunity for financial independence. Remember that. You're not asking them to invest. You're giving them an opportunity to achieve the American dream of financial independence and asset real estate backed investments. So talk about it that way. You are not looking for investors. You're looking for people that want freedom.
Wow. Thank you.
That's true. I just wanted to chime in. Just came to support you, Trevor. I love you. You've been a good friend over the years. Thank you so much. And thanks to Darrell for bringing you to his portal. And it's an amazing story. I was kind of in and out. Just wanted to come and support you and say thank you.
Well, thank you, Vinky, and everybody. Hey, Vinky going to be here too. She's coming, right?
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
All
yes,
right.
I'll be there.
Thanks,
everybody.
So listen, everyone. Don't forget, tomorrow, next Tuesday is the commercial Multifamily Mastermind. We will be having a guest speaker going through underwriting. And next Wednesday, we'll have another guest speaker that will be speaking. I do believe it is Esther that will be here. So
Yeah.
everyone,
I know
thank
you
you.
have David Monroe next Tuesday, one of my mentors as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, David will be on my commercial multifamily mastermind. We'll be talking about underwriting and the importance of it. Why it's very important to underwrite, right?
I'm going to tell you,
So,
David doesn't like anything. So if you can get him to like something, you've won. I mean, I always tell him you're the only mentor I know that doesn't like anything. Like Mikey won't eat it, you know, the commercial, for those of you old enough to remember the cereal commercial.
yeah. No, I thought Mikey ate everything.
Oh, maybe
Yes.
that's it. But yeah, but
Mikey
anyway,
ate
That's what he
everything.
said.
Yeah, Mikey ate
everything.
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 Yeah,
backwards.
yeah. Wait a minute. I think we just aged ourselves a little bit here talking about Mikey eating.
Well,
Oh
I thought she
boy.
was asking a senior, that she was going to say people like you, old like you. Turned 65 this year, so I guess I'm officially a senior.
Oh man. Okay.
I think David has a couple cars that he likes.
All right, everyone. Well, listen, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your time. Hopefully, I want to see everybody on Tuesday when with David Monroe and talking about underwriting. And Trevor, I want to thank you again for spending the time with us here at the Capital Raise Strategy Session. Thank you all, and thank you for coming.
Real quick, Daryl, before we
Yes.
leave, next week is Ethan Gao, ultra high net worth individual, attorney, investor, private equity. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great questions for Ethan. And then Esther will be the week after that. And
That's
then
right.
Vinky the week after that. So you guys have got a lot of great guests coming up. So please make sure and bring a friend, let everybody know.
Yay.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you all for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Look forward to connecting one-on-one.